Hello, London. How's it going? So first of all, I will apologize by my really bad English. Unfortunately, I don't have a charming accent as Daniel Rowe or British accent, so sorry for murder your language. I will try my best. Okay, I'm from Venezuela, so my Venezuelan accent will arise. So how many of you have done 3D with WebGL or... Okay. More than I expected. So what if I told you that this scene right here, that is kind of a potion wizardy scene, is entirely done with Vue Components and composables? Okay? So, in the beginning, the name of my presentation today was going to be TresJS, a declarative way of doing 3D with web components. But I have been playing Hogwarts Legacy like crazy the last year, and I thought to myself, oh, let's change it, okay? Boring naming, let's change that. And I come up, well, no, ChatGPT comes up with this, TresJS and the Chamber of Vue, unlocking the mysteries of 3D rendering. So with that, I present myself. My name is Alvaro Saburido. I'm a DevRel engineer at the Storyblock. I'm from Barcelona, Spain, but originally from Venezuela. I create a lot of content in Alvaro Dev Labs. Some links if you want to follow, say hi, always welcome, okay? So, yeah, that's actually me. I don't know what happened. But that's the boy who lived playing video games because, yeah, I was a kid that loved to play video games. And to be honest, that kid never grew up. This is me playing with my cat, Gerald. So what was my motivation? When I was a kid, I really wanted to learn how to create video games. Okay, I was fascinated by the golden era of PS1 games like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon. And who will forget that good game of Hogwarts, like Harry Potter with those amazing graphics? Look at that. HD right away, right? So, something to point here, I wanted to study that, but it was really expensive in Venezuela to be a game developer, so I ended up being a telecommunications engineer and then being a front-end development, where I'm here right now. I'm super happy. But I left like 3D on the side, okay? I thought it was for people that were truly brilliant, geniuses, like how they do that stuff, until I discovered ThreeJS, okay? So ThreeJS is a library that leverages the WebGL part, okay, the difficult part, and make it available for JavaScript developers to code and make their scenes. And I found out this amazing course by Bruno Simon, is the one in the picture, to learn how to do it. And 6 months after that, I was learning, and I was able to create my own scenes. Then I discovered React Fiber. And wait, before you say why you're talking about React in a Vue conference, right? I know. But React Fiber is an amazing library made by Poem Andres, which is an amazing studio, and they made something that blew my mind. They were basically able to create scenes with their React components. So instead of using plain JavaScript, they were able to use that. But there is a catch here, is that I will never use React. Nah, I'm joking. I use React, but I prefer Vue, okay? Never. So I was trying to find something that would work for Vue. Okay, so I came up with this amazing library of TroisJS. This is probably the one you know, because it was the first one to try to do a wrapper. So it was a manual wrapper that tried to replicate all the different components. And then I found Lunchbox, that is the other one, that is a custom render. And stay with that phrase, custom render, okay? But the thing was that TroisJS was really difficult to maintain because it was a manual wrapper, and to be honest, ThreeJS always evolves. Every week there is a new version. It's really difficult to keep up with the changes. So that's how TresJS born. Okay, so what is TresJS? It's basically a custom renderer that allows you to create the 3D scenes declaratively by using your favorite framework, using Vue Components and composables. The word is the Spanish word for 3, so it's TresJS. And it's based on the ThreeJS library, and as well because the French word was already taken. So I came up with that. Why TresJS? Look, why not using another one? I wanted to create something that was up to date with the latest ThreeJS with zero to none maintenance, because also maintain a library like this is really time consuming and a lot of effort, right? That is lightweight, that you could install it and the performance of your web application or page is not affected. That was verbose and easy to use. That's really important for the developer experience. Of course, developer experience focus. We needed something that was enjoyable to do 3D. TypeScript support. Everyone that has worked with ThreeJS know what I'm talking about. And that could be performant even with reactivity, because TresJS is powered with Vite. Okay, so Vite makes possible that all goes well. Last but not least, I wanted to create a 3D ecosystem for the Vue community. Myself and a lot of colleagues we wanted to create 3D scenes, and we were not able to do it because there was nothing like for Vue. Okay? So how we can get started is as npm add TresJS core, and as a pure dependency, you can install 3, so it's not part of the bundle. Or you can play with it on StackBlitz. And look, how cool is this? I'm using a slide dev. So this is like Markdown, okay? And I embedded one of the basic scenes right here. This is Tres, okay? So you can put it on your slides. So first thing, like how to use it, right? So we need to set up a canvas. 3JS work with the DOM element, the canvas element, to draw everything. Okay, so before we can create an scene, we need to import the Tres Canvas component from the core and add it to the template. Really important that everything that we want to render in our scene needs to be inside, because the Tres Canvas will create a custom render that works for the 3D scenes, like the 3GS instances and objects. We need, for setting up a scene, we need 3 things. We need an object, and I always say 3 things, it's actually 4, sorry. So we have the objects like the geometry, the lights, the plane, simulating the ground. We need a camera to be able to see it. We need a scene to put everything together, and a render to render in the canvas element, in the HTML one. Okay? So how we can set up a scene? In the left part, yes, we're going to have how you can do it with 3JS, like vanilla 3JS. Okay, so you normally create a scene using the constructor 3scene. It's visible, right? Yeah. Okay, you can do a camera by creating a perspective camera this way. And then you are going to pass the canvas into the render. You're using the WebGL renderer. And last but not least, you're going to use the method render to pass the scene and the camera. Let's do it the TresJS way. You only need to import the Tres Canvas. Tres Canvas is handle everything from you, from resizing the screen, from adapting the aspect ratio, everything is covered. And then you just need to import a Tres perspective camera. All the components are the same name as 3JS, but you only need to put a prefix called Tres. Now let's add an object. So if you were using plain 3JS, you're probably going to create a geometry, okay? So I'm using torus geometry, but it's basically a donut. I don't know why they didn't call it a donut geometry. It's torus geometry, okay? And these are some of the parameters that you are going to pass. Then we need to define a material. When the geometry is the structure or all the little pixels, like vertices and so on, the material is how the pixels are going to look like, what color they're going to have, like how reflective they're going to be. Then you create the mesh. They're going to create the mesh. That is the combination between the geometry and the material, and then boom, you have your object. You add it to the scene, right? With TresJS, you have to import a TresMesh component, and we're going to use view slots here to pass the torus geometry with some arguments. You can see that the arguments are exactly the same as we were passing to the constructor here. So you can pass any parameter for initializing the constructors using the args prop. Then we can do Tres Mesh basic material and pass the color as a prop. That's also possible. And boom, we have a really ugly donut, but we made it. We have our scene, right? Cool. I love that meme. Okay, how does it work in the underground, right? We are taking the three latest, so we are taking the latest version of tree, and we are taking all the different instances, all the different properties, methods, everything, and we're applying a little bit of magic, which is AKA the custom renderer. And then this is converting everything into Vue components that you can use. So let's talk about arguments, because we touched that point just frequently, right? You can initialize any argument like you would do in ThreeJS, like this, the perspective camera, you are passing the field of view, the aspect ratio, and how far and near is it, these values right here. And the way of doing that in ThreeJS is and TresJS is gonna be with the args prop. Then you have normal props, which are similar to the properties, okay? So you can pass them as this, and this is going to be similar to initializing the constructor empty without any parameter, and then just change it dot, and you're gonna have the same thing. I mentioned view slots because you can pass parameters inside of the mesh to create something similar like this. So whenever you're passing components inside another component, it's going to do a reference as if it was an attribute on the initial or the parent one. So yeah, let's do some demonstrum. Yeah, I know the spell went wrong, and it's my first live coding, so be kind with me, please. Of course. I know this is actually the page. Let me check, where is it? Here. Ah, nice. Okay. So you saw that it was black pitch, right? Because we need a camera to be able to see it. So here you have the most basic TresJS application. You have imported the Tres canvas, and I'm passing in a clear color, which is basically going to be the background color. Okay. So here I'm going to do Tres perspective camera. I'm not going to pass any parameter, okay? I'm going to save, and then, where are you? Let me put it right away, so I'm not doing this so often. Sorry about that. Now we can see the color that we defined, so we're on the right track, right? Now let's do something else. Let's add a cube. So the way we can use a cube is by passing Tres Mesh, and then inside of it, let's use the Tres box geometry, that one. And this is recent because in the version 1, we didn't have TypeScript, so this was an emery before. Also, let's add a Tres normal material. Let's save. And now we have a nice cube, right? Thank you. Oh, so glad that it worked. Okay, and we're gonna do another thing that is really cool. So I mentioned also composables, right? So we are gonna import a composable that is called use render loop. In gaming and in 3D in general, you are rendering frame per frame, because if you do an animation, you're gonna render several pictures in a timely manner that your eye is going to see it like smoothly, right? 60 frames per second, that's on. So Tres Canvas already does that for you. It creates that render loop. And you can access it by using the composable use render loop. So we're going to use the composable to animate our cube. And here comes something really important about reactivity and the use of TresJS. So you know that Vue reactivity is based on proxies, right? So you could think right now, okay, if I want to animate it, I will do something like rotation, then, I don't know, a ref or reactive, okay? It's just an example, and pass it to the mesh as a property, right? So we will do like position, and then like this. This will work. Okay? But since this is reactive, your frame per seconds are going to drop. Because Vue reactivity is based on proxies, and they're not as fast as plain objects. So the recommended way of doing this is actually, let's get rid of this rotation right here. Okay? And we are going to use template refs. Anyone familiar with template refs in Vue? Okay. So basically, template ref is a way that you can get the instance from the template for that component. Okay, so here I'm going to create a box ref. Come on. And you're going to see that I'm using a shallow ref. Amazing for activity. Because shallow ref will allow you to be more... Oh, 5 minutes. Okay, I'm going to do it way more quicker. So we're going to watch... we're going to pass it here, sorry. To this one. Box ref. Okay, not like this. And we're going to watch, probably watch effect. No, not even. We're going to go here and say if box ref value. So if it's available and it's not null, okay, probably move this up. We're going to rotate it. So let's hope this works. Yeah, it worked. Okay, I will never do this again. Let me refresh this and go to the, where is it? Here. Okay, I will real quick. So my idea of TresJS, it was an ecosystem of applications, packages, and so on. So we have another one that I didn't use in the demo, I forgot. It's the Cientos package. And in the Cientos package is the word for hundreds in Spanish. And basically, it's all the abstraction, all the shaders, all the different geometries, easier to use. You can have it on Cientos. Why not in the core package? Because of size. So the core package is bare. You can do everything with that. But if you want to have a better developer experience, you can use Cientos. Okay? And also, I know it's a bad joke, but 300 is like 300. Okay, enough. Sorry about that. So here I have some of the abstractions. So like text 3D, you can create text in 3D. You can use animations. You can load models like the one that I put in the beginning is using these composables right here. So everything that is extending the core, okay? Let me refresh now. So one of the abstractions, for example, is the float or the Levioso component that allows you to float whatever you put inside. So if you put a feather, you're going to have like Levioso, like Hermione. Okay? TresJS is meant to be an ecosystem. So the core package and the Cientos is maintained by us. We have in the roadmap, the post-processing one is already in work. And who knows, like maybe yours package can be part of the ecosystem in the future. This is a roadmap. I want to highlight the work of the Knox Lab team because this is Volta. And I'm using it with my team to be able to establish a roadmap and be clear about the priorities and so on. So you can see that we are trying to translate the docs, create presentational controls, HTML, context shadows, and some fancy stuff. Okay? Some resources here. My slides are going to be available as soon as I fix them because I don't know, I have a problem with the slide dev, but here are the documentations, Stackblade, Discord, and some tutorials on my YouTube channel. I want to highlight the amazing effort of all the contributors because this is about to be open source. And I had the help of amazing contributors that helped me, like Jaime Torrell, Tino, Wed, Constantine, Randy, Madi, and in the future, maybe you. So a lot of people have asked me, like, why is it not open source yet? Let's basically change that. So I'm going to go to GitHub. Where are you? And let's change the visibility to public. Yeah, I have read effects. Come on. Seriously? This was meant to be my moment. Come on. Brilliant. Yes, please. There you go. It's public. So, from now on, version 2, we are going to release it today. This release candidate, but we are going to release it today as well as Cientos package. And the rest of the packages are already there. Okay? And if I find myself again, I don't know how much I have, but I do want to say something else. No. Okay. So I spend, go there, open tickets, crash it, contribute. I'm waiting for it. I really love how people are using it already. So show me your stuff. I will be more than glad to put it on the playground. Thanks to my sponsors, Danny Dev, Smart Bakes, Easy Teams, Kisu, Mastery, and Storyblog. That was my sponsor before I joined the company. Right now, I'm setting up the sponsor for TresJS, so be able to also sponsor my my team. So that will be the idea. If you can contribute, amazing. And a special thanks to Cody Bennett from the PM Andres that helped me with the custom render API. Berekia, Patek for their showcase and help. Yael and Daniel Rowe for all the help, and also Shaka from PM Andres team. So thank you very much.